Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome once again to another edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show, the only place you need to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. I'm Skip. I am the Happy Camper, and I'm going to do my best to make a happy camper out of you. It's episode 112, and on today's show, we're going to talk about making the upgrade from primitive camping to RV camping. Are you ready for that move? Maybe, maybe not. We'll take a look at some of the options, some of the things you need to consider if you're interested in making that change. On today's show, we also are going to welcome some newcomers. I am going to go right over to the shout-out window right now because we had a lot of folks sign on to social media, and we want to take a few moments to recognize them. First of all, to Franklin Jones, Affinity RV Service, Sales, and Rentals. They like us on Facebook. Gerber RV Tables of Madison, Wisconsin, who is following us on Twitter. To Kimmy and Bart of Kimmy Cool Beans, Ivy Hagler of Clinton, North Carolina, Dave Displaced of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Rob Scribner, Jay West, Richard Sward, Kayla Julia, Ray Robin, Sean and Christy of the Long Long Honeymoon. They've added us to circles on Google+. And finally, to Sean and Devil Dog, who subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you so very much, each and every one of you. So happy to have you on board, and thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Hey, also want to take a moment to say hello to Buck Ballard and the guys over at the Trucking Podcast. I had an opportunity to hear one of their shows this past week. Great group of guys. Enjoyed listening to them. They reached out to us. And if you'd like to tune into their podcast, you can find them in the iTunes store as well as online at truckingpodcast.com. Are you ready for the Great American Campout 2015? It's about to get underway. It starts June 27th and runs all the way through September 7th of 2015. Sometime within that time frame, if you and your family plan to go camping, please take an opportunity to make the pledge at the National Wildlife Federation's website, and you can find a link to it right on our homepage at happycamperradio.com. Folks, this is a worthwhile effort, and it goes to benefit wildlife. Here's how it works. If you make the pledge to go camping between the 27th of June and September 7th of 2015, go on the website, fill out the pledge form. That's all you have to do. Their national sponsors are going to donate $1 for everybody who commits to go camping, all the way up to $100,000 to benefit wildlife. I've made my pledge, and I am going to be camping this summer at Georgia's Stone Mountain Park from July the 30th to August 2nd. It's going to be a great 3-day weekend. If you happen to be a resident in the Atlanta area who listens to our show, or maybe if you live in Georgia or happen to be passing on through and you'd like to go camping that weekend at Georgia's Stone Mountain Park, I'd love to have you here at my campsite. You can drop on by, be a part of the show. I am going to be recording my radio program right from the campsite that weekend. And hopefully some of the people in that area that will be camping will drop on by and be on the show and take some time to say hello to all of our listeners. Take the pledge, if anything, today. And go to www.happycamperradio.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll find all of the information and the link to the National Wildlife Federation's website, as well as a link to the pledge form. Okay, folks, on today's show, we're going to talk about making the upgrade from tent to RV camping. What draws people into this transition? Have you ever wondered that? I myself have always dreamed of owning an RV, but here's the kicker, folks. I have been there, I've done that, and I am now back to primitive camping. And I'll explain that transition and how it worked in my life, and you may find it very interesting. For the most part, I have belonged to a family of campers. I have camped since I was a little kid, as long back as I can remember. And there came a point in my life, back in 1996, the pickup truck that I was driving, I've always owned a truck, incidentally, because I'm hauling stuff, if not my stuff, other people's stuff. So I've always owned a truck. But anyway, it came a point in 1996 where the truck that I was driving was on its last leg. It was time to upgrade, and I went out and I bought a brand new 1996 Ford F-150 half-ton pickup. And that pickup truck I still have to this day. I'm still driving it, showing a little signs of wear, but for the most part, it has been a real workhorse. I've taken good care of it. I have always followed a routine maintenance schedule with it. I have probably about 230,000 miles on it, and I have been to many, many places with it. But here's the interesting thing. As being a primitive camper and having all that room in the bed of my pickup truck with an 8-foot bed, I have been able to haul all of my camping gear just about anywhere I needed to go. Even have a little pull-along trailer, which I have upgraded recently too, so if I ran out of room, I can always throw some things in there. But for the most part, that's what I use to haul firewood. Anyway, I had the urge to upgrade to a truck camper in 1998. And I'll tell you how this happened. I just so happened to be at a camping and RV show. And although I didn't step inside any of the truck campers while I was on the showroom floor, I had the opportunity to see some of them. And I knew from looking at some of the truck campers that were out on the road, they were sitting on trucks that had dual wheels. No doubt because of the weight factor involved. So anyway, I had an opportunity to visit a local RV dealership here back in 1998. Now keep in mind, I've had the pickup truck a couple years already. I stopped in this dealership, and a real nice salesman come by to the door, and he says, "How you doing? Can I put you in one of these today?" And I says, "I'm just going to look around." I says, I'm interested in the truck camper, but the truck I have is not going to cut it. He asked me, "What type of truck do you have?" And I said, "Well, I've got an F-150 half-ton pickup." He says, "We can fix you up." And he took me over and showed me this truck camper that is designed to fit on top of a half-ton pickup. I walked inside, and that was it. I was sold right then and there. Oh, my heavens, folks. I've never seen anything like it before. I stepped inside of the back of this truck camper, and there it was. You have a shower, you have a bathroom, you have a dinette, you have a kitchen, you have a refrigerator freezer, you have air conditioning, you have room for a queen-size bed, you have a bunk that you can pull down. It had everything I needed, and I was good to go. I would have bought the showroom model if it weren't for the fact that I had to step back for a moment and say, "Wait a minute, hold it here. I better check with the wife before I go out and buy something this big and spend this amount of money." So I did. I went home and I talked to her about it, and I says, "I'll tell you what, let's come on up here and take a look at it." So we loaded the kids in the car, and we went on up, and she walked inside, and I said, "What do you think?" I says, "I would love to have something like this." And her response was, "Well, if you can afford the payments and you think you can do it, go for it." So right then and there, I sat down with the dealer, and we worked out the plans. We had one built at their factory in California. About 30 days later, it arrived at the showroom, and the next day I brought my truck up. They fitted it, put the airbags on it, and did all the other neat little things they had to do. And later on that night, I took delivery of my truck camper. And from there, for several years, I was considered an RVer and not a primitive camper. Now, here's the thing. When I bought my RV, I bought it for two reasons. Primarily, I bought it for work purposes. Strange as it may sound, I was on the road quite a bit back in those days. And rather than making short little trips back and forth to home and sleeping for a couple hours, getting up, getting cleaned up, and heading back into work, this allowed me the opportunity to stay in town and have a place to lay my head, as well as, get cleaned up and put on a change of clothes and do what I had to do. It worked out real well. The downside of that, I was away from my family for long periods of time, and I regret that to this very day. But, of course, I did some RVing and had a lot of fun doing it. That was back in 1998, and for several years, I considered myself an RVer and not a primitive camper. I have made the switch. I have since gone back. I am now back into primitive camping and probably will be there to stay for a very long time. I was missing out on a lot of good things that I missed while I was primitive camping. Camping near a stream, hearing that running water, the smell of nature, being around other people who are primitive campers, being able to unzip the tent, step outside, sit down by the campfire. I missed a lot of those things. But I still have my truck camper. It's sitting on the side of my house. I have to get it fixed up. I need to get it cleaned up. It has some water damage to it, and maybe in August, when I have some vacation time coming, I will probably invest some time and effort and a little bit of money in it to get it fixed up and probably sell it. Who knows, maybe not. I may want to keep it. We'll just have to see how that goes. But anyway, that's what I did. If you are one of those individuals who are thinking about upgrading from primitive camping to an RV, there's a number of different options you have available. But there's also plenty of things you need to consider. Number one, what are you looking for? Is it going to be a pop-up camper? Maybe an RV, a fifth wheel? Hey, maybe go for broke. Go get one of those beautiful motorhomes. And they have just about anything imaginable inside of them. You can get those custom built as well. But here's also the thing you have to consider. What is it going to cost you in the long run? You're going to have, if not a large bank account where you can just go ahead and bankroll the whole amount of money you need to buy that, you're going to be sitting on monthly payments, just like I was. Although I was very excited about getting my camper, one of the things that didn't set in until maybe the second or third month was the fact I was going to have a $375 a month payment added to my already stockpiling expenses. So can you afford it? That's also an important thing. Have you been to an RV or camping show lately? I'd like to think that this is what draws a lot of people into the world of RV. We have them a couple, 3 times a year here in the metro Atlanta area. I try to make it a point to go anytime they're in town. If not to walk around and see what new products they have online, I would also like the opportunity to just rub elbows with some down-to-earth people like myself who are just into the world of camping. I think a lot of people who go to these RV and travel trailer shows are really drawn into that world once they step inside, because you're looking at new products all the way around, and there are hundreds of them. There are so many decisions to make. There are so many choices to be had. And when you start walking around and looking at the exterior of these RVs and then stepping on the inside and starting to wonder, wow, wouldn't this be great to own? Then you start asking yourself some questions, and you start getting the urge to buy. And of course, you have your RV dealers who are there to help you decide whether or not now is the time for you to buy an RV. But again, there's so many things you need to consider. I think those shows are great. I think a lot of folks, too, when they go primitive camping and they see some other fellow campers show up at the campground with their equipment, that, too, also draws them into wondering whether or not they should set aside primitive camping for a while and go into the world of RVing. But anyway, I want to point out some things that you probably want to consider before making this move. Again, I already talked about the cost. You're definitely going to be looking at that monthly payment for how many ever years it's going to take you to pay that equipment off. There's also going to be, and this is so important too, folks, and it's probably not one of those things that people think about right there from the very beginning, but you're going to have additional gasoline expenses because you are going to be hauling a heavy load. You can count on burning more gasoline. So if you're going to be traveling across the country, be prepared to pay more. It's nice the fact that gas prices have dropped some over the past several months. Well, thanks to our legislators here in Georgia who saw them drop too low, well, it was time to raise the gas tax. Yeah, and we're up there paying good bits amount of money again, and that just happens. That's what government does best. Anyway, when I bought my truck camper back in 1998, gasoline was roughly $1 a gallon. The good old days, as we'll call them. Not anymore. So you're going to have those additional gasoline expenses when you are hauling your RV, whether you're putting it on top of your truck or whether you're towing it behind you. Another thing you want to consider, too, the cost of insurance. You may be surprised to find out it's not going to cost a lot of money to insure a brand new RV. You have to check with your insurance agent to find out exactly what it will cost you, but definitely you are going to want to have it insured whether you are financing or not. If you are financing, I guarantee you your lien holder is going to require that you carry insurance. Also, storage. Where are you going to store your new RV? If you live in a residential area like I live in, and can conveniently store it at the side of your house, you're good to go. But if you live in, say, one of those HOA communities, that's where you're being told how you can live, what you can do, what you cannot do, then you may find out that they will prohibit you from storing your RV on your property. In that case, you're going to be forced to find a storage unit and keep your RV there. And that's going to result in additional expenses as well. Then you have to consider also routine maintenance. Most, if not all, brand new RVs are going to come with some type of warranty. When I bought my truck camper, for about the first 6 months, I had all kind of problems, all kind of things going wrong. Even the door to the bathroom was beginning to bow, and I couldn't keep it shut. They tried repairing it. I took it up there 3 or 4 different times, and eventually they had to send to the factory for a brand new door, which worked just fine. But, you're going to have the headaches of having to haul your rig all the way back up to the dealer to have it serviced while it's under warranty if some things happen to go wrong with it. Once it's out of warranty, then it's going to be up to you, and it's going to be an added expense. All these things, folks, you're going to need to consider if you want to buy a travel trailer, a pop-up camper, a fifth wheel, or even a motorhome. All these additional expenses are going to be adding up, and they're not things we typically think about when we visit a camping and RV show. So you need to sit down with paper and pencil and think these things over, and oftentimes it's good to do that before you visit one of those shows. You can also listen to this podcast, too, on the way to kind of keep yourself in check. But in addition to all these expenses, folks, here's something else. How often are you going to be using your RV? If it's going to be sitting on the side of your house for 6 months out of a year, you're probably wasting your money. But if you have the time in your schedule and you or in your family love to get out, if they love to go camping, and you love to just the sight of nature each and every opportunity you can, maybe a couple times a month, then I would say, yes, it's probably worth looking at. So what do you do? What do you say? How do you figure on you're making the right decision? Well, here's what I'm going to recommend you do. Visit your local RV dealer and see, first of all, what they have on display. Your RV dealer is going to help you decide, and I don't believe they are going to steer you wrong. First of all, they're in the business, granted, to sell RVs, and they want to make a sale. But at the same time, they do not want to put you in an RV that, one, is not going to work for you, two, that you are not going to want, or three, you can't afford. So it's best to go in and sit down with them. They have folks just like you each and every day come into their dealership. Everybody has a different story. Everybody comes from a different type of background. Everybody has been camping for different amounts of time in their life. And your RV dealer will help you make the best decision and put you into the type of RV that is going to fit your budget, that's going to fit the type of vehicle you're driving, and the one that's going to make you a happy camper for a very long time. That's also another thing, folks. When you show up at these RV and travel trailer shows, wherever they may be, you may see something that really catches your eye that you would really love to own. But do you have the type of vehicle that is capable of hauling it? If you happen to go into an RV dealer and you're driving a subcompact vehicle, they're not going to put you in a fifth wheel, all right? Not going to happen, because your vehicle is not capable of hauling that type of equipment. So again, your RV dealer is going to be the one to help you decide what you can afford and what you are capable of hauling. Just like myself, I had to stop and think for a moment. Wow, I would love to have a truck camper, but some of the truck campers that I'm seeing go on dual-wheel pickup trucks. They're not going to fit my truck. They're not going to fit my vehicle. And fortunately, my dealer helped me find one that did. Sure, I would have loved to have had one of those big, monstrous truck campers that had all the fancy features, all the bells and whistles to it. But because of the type of vehicle that I had, it wasn't going to work. And the real downside was, folks, that even though I loved my truck camper, and I had some many great years with it, when family came into town and they enjoyed some weekend camping with me, one of the biggest obstacles that we faced was not that we were crammed for space. Of course we were. But the fact is, because of the type of truck camper that I had, there were no storage compartments available. In other words, when my family came in, their luggage came in behind them. And any time we had to step in or out of my truck camper, we were tripping over luggage. What fun is that? Of course, most of the time, I had my two younger daughters with me, and Mom wasn't a big camper, so she stayed home. I had just enough room to take them camping, and we were fine. We had plenty of room, couple small bags, that worked out okay. But if you're going to get an RV and you're going to plan on having a lot of folks camping with you, if you have a big family, you definitely want to have an RV that's going to be roomy, it's going to be big enough to accommodate everybody, and definitely you're going to want to have that extra storage space because everybody's going to be bringing some luggage with them. One of the upsides to owning an RV is the fact they're pretty much self-contained. One of the first things I did when I brought my truck camper home is I loaded up the kitchen with everything I needed. I had some extra clothing there. I had my lanterns in there. I had a couple little stoves that I brought that I could use while cooking on the picnic table outside the camper. And all I had to do was hook up and go. It was as simple as that. If you're a primitive camper, well, you know what the routine is. You need to load your gear into the vehicle, you need to take off, you need to set up, and it's just the reverse when coming home. So either way you look at it, you know, it's all about camping. It's what type of camping you want to do. Again, it's fun to dream. It's fun to get out there and enjoy life as we see it today. But definitely don't get yourself into a situation where you're going to buy something you cannot afford or something that maybe 3 months down the road you're going to regret buying and having to put up for sale. It's a serious investment, folks, and you want to make the right decision and you want to make it at the right time. Find out what you're hauling first of all. Can your vehicle accommodate this type of RV? Can you afford it? Is it going to fit in the budget? Is your family going to like it? And most importantly, are you going to use it? All of those things play a very important role. You want to have fun, I want you to have fun, and I hope to see you out in the world of camping sometime soon. It's time now for our featured Campground of the Week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. This week, we are going to go to the state of Texas to Alley Creek Camp. It's part of the Lake Pines run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Folks, this is a beautiful camping destination in the state of Texas. The Alley Campground is situated along the banks of the Lake Pines in the piney woods of East Texas, close to the border of Louisiana. The lake was created by the construction of the Farrell's Bridge Dam on the Big Cypress Bayou. And the lake itself includes about 18,700 acres of water and 9,000 acres of land, encompassing an area so large that it spans 5 counties. Do you enjoy fishing? Bring your fishing gear with you. Lake Pines fishing includes largemouth bass and hybrid bass, along with crappie, sunfish, and catfish. Just make sure that when you go online, you do a little bit of research and find out what type of licensing you need to go fishing. The Alley Creek features 67 spacious campsites, ranging from more primitive sites to full hookup RV sites. There's also a large group campsite that can accommodate up to 50 guests. Nearby towns of Jefferson and Marshall offer historic and tourist attractions, and Texas Wildflower Trail routes are located along the roads surrounding the lake. Plenty of activities and amenities are right there on their website. A couple things you need to know before you go. No off-road vehicles are permitted, and visitors of campers must depart by 10 o'clock p.m. Also, remember, don't move firewood. Purchase your firewood locally. It's a great camping destination in the state of Texas. It's Alley Creek Camp, open all the way through September 30th of this year, and it is our featured Campground of the Week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Of course, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, definitely get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and make sure you send us a link to the campground website. Well, folks, that's about all the time I have for this week's show. Hey, incidentally, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all you guys out there, all you fathers who are taking a very important role in your children's lives. Thank you for being there, and thank you for being who you are. Hey, folks, don't forget you can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and now subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, we are going to make a happy camper out of you. Have a good one, my friends. We'll talk to you next week. This is Happy Camper Radio.